Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bidamount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And today is January 10th, 2020, and this is our weekly video. We'll take a look back at last week's eBay auction results, see what was going on at Catawiki as far as Chinese and Japanese objects go. And we'll be touching a bit on some of the things that are over on the member pages up there currently. As I mentioned several times in the last month, it gets very quiet on the auction market. Typically in the month of December, people want to get things done. They want to get things shipped out. They don't want to have things being sold online and have to worry about getting them shipped in a timely fashion. So they just sort of pull back. And now we're seeing a lot of stuff coming back on the market. The big auction houses are all getting back to work now. Their breaks are over. Invaluable, Live Auctioneers, eBay, they're all, we noticed this week a significant sort of increase in things that are coming back on now being sold. One of the things I wanted to mention this week, there was a handy new book that we've added over onto the reference section on the Bidamount site. It's the, you can find them in the catalog area over here. And it's a book that was written by a fellow named Bose. And this is a rather unusual book. Many of you have seen it. You can find excerpts out of this book over on the Goldberg site as well. And it's Japanese marks and seals, pottery and metal and all this sort of thing. And it's a wonderful old book. And it's well illustrated, has maps, good explanations. It was written nearly 100 years ago or so, but quite a good book. And if you have times when you're trying to look up obscure Japanese marks and things that are going on, this is a pretty good book to reference through. And as I've said before, you can always enlarge these to get a good, clear look at the marks, the good descriptions, and it's very easy to follow through on. So if you're out there and you find something that has a mark on it, you might very likely find it in this book on all objects, okay? Just a heads up. The other thing I wanted to mention was that this came up yesterday. Thank you to all of you that have signed up for the member pages. I was kind of surprised. We got an awful lot of good sign-ups in the first hour once we put the video out and sent out the emails, and we're continuing to get them. And so far the site is tolerating the volume of traffic, something we're watching. But one of the things I wanted to mention was that if you want to sign up and you are using a credit card and you do not have a PayPal account, use the Stripe option. Stripe is just a credit card processor. That's all it is. And you can set up recurring monthly payments on there. You can set up recurring annual payments, whatever you want. PayPal does not allow guest users to set up recurring payments. I called them yesterday, and they said, if you want to spend almost $800 a year for the privilege, we can set it up for you. But I said, no, I really don't want to do that. We spent enough money in the last 2 months. But at any rate, Stripe is happy to do it. You just go there, you put in your credit card information, it's taken care of. If you have a PayPal account, of course, you can do it all from there too with a recurring payment setup because you're an account holder. All right, so just credit cards. Just go over to Stripe and tell them what you want. And if you have any trouble, get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to help you out, or somebody who will. All righty. Now over to eBay. What happened there last week? Well, they had these. We talked about these. This is that very nice pair of Blanc de Chine relief work pieces with plum blossoms, and these had great mask handles on the ends. Many of you will remember. I talked about these, I think, last week. Loved the masks on the ends. Just thought this was a great thing. It was these were each about 9 inches tall. They were a pair, which makes them very desirable. And I think these went very reasonably, $1,850. I think that was a great buy. Thought they'd bring 2,000 to 3,000 anyway. They're fairly rare. They looked to be in very nice condition, and I think that was a fabulous buy for someone. If one of you got them, bravo. Those are nice. There were several good buys this week because I think everybody's still a little bit off from the holidays. All right, another piece that was this. This is a very nice iron red ground with a white background, and natural outdoor scenes with flowers and birds and all that sort of thing. But this was a nice one. It was probably late Qing, early Republic, but in very nice condition. You don't see any wear to this. It looked to be well cared for. Had a green enamel interior that had some wear to it because it had been used as a planter. So it does, the minerals in the soil, it does impact glazes after a while. But the outside of this was in beautiful shape, and the quality of the decoration was just excellent. and it went for $888. And I think that was a very reasonable price because this was a nice example and in really wonderful condition. Good thing. And then over here to this was one of that big Kangxi porcelain central tree motif dishes. We've seen these before. It was a fairly well-known pattern. What was nice about this was a large one. This was a charger. It was around 13 or 14 or so inches in diameter. So I recall, well, how big was it? 34 centimeters, so about 13, 14 inches in diameter, in very nice condition. And it did well. It brought $2,770. And the difference that a couple inches makes on these is fairly significant. We've in the past, and not too far back, we had one of these that was, I think, around 10 inches, just 11 inches, which is slightly smaller. But it's under that 12-inch barrier, and I think it went for around half of what this one went for. That extra 2 inches basically doubles the price because they made a lot more 9 to 11-inch dishes in this pattern than they did in chargers, okay? And that's why. But that was a nice example. The other piece that did pretty well, and I thought this was a great bowl, this very nice Kangxi period, floral decorated vines and pods and all that great stuff. And I like this because the cobalt blue was so good, and it was really nicely outlined and very carefully finished, filled in and so forth. There's the different sides of it. Just a good example, nice glossy glaze, but good deep cobalt blue. Look how dark that cobalt is. Very, very nice. And in the end, it went for $742, which is not a crazy price. It was around 6 inches in diameter, but a relatively nice, fine example. It was some Kangxi pieces from this period, they got a little sloppy at times. That was a nice one. And then over here to the pair of late Qing, early Republic period, somewhere in there, Famille Rose square planters. I think the stands are later because the wood quality doesn't look terribly good on it. I think they were just added to them. But these were very nice. A slight orange peel on the surface. Here's a picture of the exterior up close. Here's a picture of the interior. They've been used a bit for plants. And it had the little spur marks on the bottom to help support the base during the firing. Are still on there, which is normal on these. It's really the only time you see spur marks on Chinese porcelain. You see them occasionally on huge chargers because they're afraid the middle of the charger might sag in the firing. But typically you see these spur marks on planters and bulb trays and that kind of thing where they have wide flat bases. And it ended up selling for $2,200. The pair ended up selling for $2,225. Had 46 bids, and but they were very nice. I think that was a pretty reasonable buy, for a pair. Very good looking. And then on to these nice looking Guangxu period Famille June plates. They call these, they're sort of celebratory plates with wishes for good luck, happiness, wealth, and all that business around the outside, and then a mark on the back. And I believe these were probably a mark and period, or it's just maybe slightly out. It's hard to tell sometimes. But nice looking pair. It's a fairly well-known pattern. Many of you have seen them. By the 1920s, they were making, whole tea sets out of these and selling them all over the place. And those still had the Guangxu marks on them. But this was a nice looking pair. And they went for $1,225, which I think is pretty reasonable. I don't think that was a bad price. And a seller over in the UK we follow, many of you are familiar with their things, as they had up this terrific late Edo period or mid Edo period boxwood carving of a rabbit. The quality was nice. The patina on it was very, very nice. There it is right there. Here's the picture of the bottom, and you have the toggle, the holes for the toggle and all that. But nice quality and in good condition. This is a nice little example. And it went for $880, which I think is fairly reasonable. This was a very fine little carving, and if you're a Netsky collector, you know what I mean. But that's a good one, nice one. This is that seller in London that gets these. And then on to this. This was a fairly unusual Yixing teapot. You've seen the form before, but typically it's not done in that light cream colored glaze. Usually they're in a darker brown, but they have supports, under its spherical form. So to make feet for it, they use pods and walnuts different things, and they use a mushroom cap on the on the top. It looks like an upside down mushroom. Where's that? Where's there a picture of it? Isn't there? Yeah. There's a picture of the bottom. There's that. I wanted to show the cap on this thing. Where the heck is it? Oh, there it is, right there. All right, this is it. And the cap had been repaired, but it's done like an upside down mushroom that was placed onto the piece. I thought that was great, and it has a bat handle. Okay, right here, and it's signed. And obviously, some people looked up the potter, and it brought $5,752, which is a pretty good price, but unusual, fairly rare, and there it goes. And it had a cracked lid and a chipped spout. Were it not for that, it probably would have brought another $3,000 or $4,000 anyway. And then on to this, the jade bowl, box rather, done with gilt work over it and on the outside, and you can see they put down this red, sort of reddish background, and then they apply the gilding to it. Of bats, and these are fairly rare. These boxes don't turn up very often, and making a jade box is quite a challenge because you have to, the edges have to match absolutely perfectly, and carving jade and doing anything like this is rather difficult. It takes a very skilled carver to do this, and takes a long time. And this was a very nice box, and I think it was fairly reasonable. I think this was very reasonable. $1,174. Most of the time when you see jade, it is done on nephrite like this, and they are tablets, and often there are columns of script and then a picture of an immortal, Lohan, something in the scene, or maybe a terrace scene, and there'll be a group of 5 to 10 of them. And this was a very nice piece of jade, and I think for $1,174 it was a good buy. I think that was a very nice buy for someone. And then hopping over here to this. Unfortunately, the seller on this put the plate up sideways because this was a very interesting little dish. Let's see if we can get a straight on view. No, all the pictures are sideways. Yeah. Anyway, always check your pictures. Make sure they're straight on. This is the bottom of the plate over here. And it's a very interesting interior court scene. And what I liked the most about it was that whoever decorated it went to great lengths to do a good job detailing objects in the painting. It's always nice to see objects in the painting. And you can see, for example, that they had 3 of these incense stands with plants on them. Nice 18th century style type of stands, these long, elongated examples. And they're working at sort of a provincial table with a teacher and a student, and they're doing calligraphy, and there's a little instrument here. He's obviously there for an education. Next to him is a big, like a basket, and it's full of scrolls and all these other elements. And then a mom and an attendant are off to the side, and there's a man over here with a lady. It appears that they're playing Go. Just sort of an active scene, sort of an idyllic look at Chinese life. And the thing that was nice about this plate, it was a late 19th century one, but it was big, 38 centimeters in diameter, which is a good size. That's a nice big piece, 15 inches, 16 inches or so. And it went, I think, reasonably. It did have a hairline in it, but I think it was fairly reasonable. $470 for that, and it would be very handsome to have on a wall. And you can get plate holders this big. I've gotten them even bigger. I got one for a 22-inch charger we have at home. Anyway, on to this. This is a very nice piece of silk. It measured around 46 by 46 inches, or 3'10" by 3'10", so it would be beautiful to hang if you wanted to do that. You don't want to hang silks for a long period of time, though. Take them out for sort of special occasions, mainly because they get tattered and frayed, and the threads, they can get a little brittle. You want to be kind to your silks, but this would be a nice thing to put up on a wall periodically to enjoy, and so forth. And in the end, it did pretty well. It brought $3,599, which was not a surprise. It didn't have a lot of loose threads. Often on these old ones, you'll see a lot of loose threads in the gold threads in particular, and this didn't have many. If you do have loose gold threads, don't cut them off. Get somebody with a needle and try to work them back into it if they're good with a needle. I saw a guy once, he bought a robe and it had a bunch of loose gold threads. He just took out a pair of scissors and cut them all off. I couldn't believe it. You can fix that much of the time and tidy it up and keep them with the piece. But $3,599 tells me that the silk market is still nice and strong. And then over here to this. This was a really nice pair of Republic period lanterns. They were beautifully made. The stands were nice on them. The quality of the decoration of the figures was quite good. There wasn't too much orange peel. The overglazed blue enameling was nicely done, and so forth. The end panels, like this, they used flowers ascending and then hanging flowers off of off of a tree from above. The interiors look good, nice white porcelain all the way around, not discolored, and apparently they were in quite good condition. These are wonderful things, and they ended up selling for $2,550, which I think is perfectly fine. Getting a pair of these, because they tend to be fairly thin and they tend to get broken for obvious reasons. They can fall off. The only thing I'd suggest is if you get a pair of these, get some of that 3M clay that they sell in drugstores. It's sort of a sticky clay. It feels almost like silly putty. And if you have one of these at home, and we did this with a lantern we have, put a little bit of that clay around where the pieces meet, and it'll hold the upper section on so it doesn't fall over accidentally too easily. And you can sometimes add a little weight into the bottom of these, just sort of tape it up in there so these don't get knocked over, because the porcelain is light, they're fairly good size, and they are prone to tipping. And then maybe put in a nice little LED light in them, or better yet, a candle. All right. And as I said, they brought $2,550. Not bad. And then on to the farmer, the Japanese farmer, a beautiful piece of carved boxwood. I loved his face. This guy had a great face. Look at that. Nice detail, good patina. Here he is coming in. He's got his hat after a day out and so forth. He's carrying some sort of produce and his other hanging off the end of his tools. It has signature on the foot, and this was a nice one, and it brought $417, which I think was pretty reasonable. I don't think that was a bad price to pay for that. That was a nice little sort of charming thing, and he had a great look on his face. Okay, and now let's take a look and see what's coming up. There's more stuff coming on, but we're just going to get into some of it. All right, one of the pieces is this very nice dragon robe, 5-clawed dragon robe. It's an old one. It's a 19th century one, pretty clearly. Good detail, a little bit of wear up in there at the top, and that's on right now. It ends Sunday. If you're a robe collector, you might take a look at this. It's up to $2,100. I suspect it'll probably go up close in the $4,000 or $5,000 range, and maybe a little over. But it's a good one, and might do very well with a good quality conservator's cleaning, because I don't think that's ever been cleaned. It has looks like it has a little bit of dirt on it. All right, and then on to this. This is a nice pair of Daoguan butterfly cups. When I first saw these, I wasn't quite sure, and then I really examined them and looked at the enameling on them, and I believe they're okay. Nicely done. The pattern was used in the 20th century too, but the foot rims on these, the whiteness of the porcelain, the quality of the enameling, and so forth makes me think they're very most likely a Marken period. They just went up. These are up for 9 more days. They'll be in the weekly newsletter on the Bidamount site. They're up to $1. They should do pretty well. These were nice. All right. And then over here, there's another one of these Kangxi Datsai enameled plates. Again, this pattern. These always seem to come out of dealers in Europe that get these, particularly in Northern Europe. But this was a nice looking plate. I think it might actually be a charger. Just about a charger. It's about 12 inches in diameter. It's up to $14. It's got 7 days to go, and it's coming from a seller in the Netherlands. I'm reading the thing at the bottom. Middelburg in the Netherlands. Good example. I think this guy has a few things up this week. And then we have this. Okay, this plate, unfortunately, whoever did the picture did an awful job. I hate to say it. This is a pretty rare plate, and here it is. It's one of these Buxiang plates. 6-character mark, Tongxi period. It's got 5 days to go, and it's already up to $3,190. But the guy tried to shoot it without any flash, and then with flash. And unless you're a really good photographer, don't ever shoot stuff with objects with a flash. And this is sort of why. He didn't do himself any favors, but it was a nice example, and I think it'll, in the end, do really well. But if you collect these, you want to come and check this one out. It is, what's the dimensions on this thing? Somebody said I never say dimensions. It's 6 inches in diameter, and it's very finely painted. And then over on Catawiki, we put this in. This is the book by Jessica Harrison Hall that came out, I don't know, 20 years ago, Ming Ceramics in the British Museum. This is a thick book, and it's out of print. And it's a really, I bought it when it first came out. I think it was new. It was around $75. The last one I saw of these sold at an auction, I think for $1,400 or $1,500. All right, this is an increasingly expensive reference book to get, but if you have it, you're going to use it. It's one of those books you use. All right, very, very well done. She's a brilliant writer, and it's up to $207 with a couple days to go on Catawiki. It'll be in the newsletter page in the Catawiki section, but it's a heck of a good book. I highly recommend it, and it's hard to find. It's hard to get this book without paying an arm and a leg from a bookstore. All right, and the other book that is up there right now is P.J. Donnelly's Blanc de Chine. This is sort of one of the original Bibles on Blanc de Chine pottery and porcelain, and it's still a very good book, and it came out years ago. It's got one bid. It's up to $19, and you might want to check that out if you're interested in Blanc de Chine pieces. It is profusely illustrated and worth having. It's a good book. And who's got this? Oh, Pafuni has this over in Seattle. Huh. All right, and then on to this. This is the Seller Cambi auctions over in Italy. It's coming up. They have a sale in 11 days in Milan. This is a nice transitional hot food pot. It's got the drilled handles on the side. And then there's this, this is a big vase. This is a 63 or 4 centimeter tall, rose mandarin vase with a very nice neck on it. I love the shape of it. It appears to be in good condition, and it's got an opening bid. Again, this is Cambi. This it has an opening bid of $1,000. It should bring $2,500 to $3,500, I would think, but a nice thing. And some of the other stuff that's on there right now is these. These just knock me out. These are a huge pair of Qinlong soldier vases. They're on the Christie's catalog. They're going to bring a lot of money, but I wanted to share them anyway. I just thought they were the decoration on these is just exceptional. Pull it right in. Look at that work. Wow. All right, and this is the kind of stuff that's over there right now. They're estimated at $100,000 to $150,000. They're not for everybody, obviously, but they're 56 inches tall, so they're 4.5 feet tall without the stands. So they're very big with the stands because the stands add another foot or so. Put those in your front hallway. Enjoy them. And some of the other stuff that's over on the member side right now is this. It's a very interesting European scene, reverse painting on glass, that is Chinese export. Okay, they imported glass to China for the artists to reverse paint, and then brought them back over here. All right, and that's on there right now. And there's this, the big Ming dynasty for the Mexican market jar. This is a very big jar. It's sort of a well-known pattern. They were done in the 17th century. And then this is another piece that's over there. It's a nice Qinlong period punch bowl, but beautifully decorated. Really, really beautifully decorated. Probably right around 1740 to 1760, somewhere in there. But lovely, lovely, lovely work. And what else is on there right now? Oh, this is a huge Wan Li charger with a court figure and a kid with a fan and all that. And this is also this is also done at that Cambi auction in Italy. It's coming up in 11 days. It's got a $200 €200 single bid so far. But this thing is big, 48 centimeters in diameter. So it's roughly 20 inches wide. That's a very, very big plate. And there's other stuff there. There's a lot of stuff on the member pages coming in. And there's a lot more stuff also turning up now for Catawiki and eBay. But that sort of covers it. And we'll give you some results next week and so forth as things sell on that side. And that's about it. So thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy the videos, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to us here at YouTube. come over to Bidamount.com, and you can sign up for the weekly newsletter page, which is free. Check out the Catawiki listings, enjoy the books, visit the forum, and all that. And if you're so motivated, sign up for the member pages. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week. Okay. Bye-bye.